In the cold gray light of the Alliance assembly chamber, silence settled like dust. Dozens of alien species stood, sat, or hovered in tense stillness, some with fur, others with scales, some with eyes that glowed like stars, and a few with no eyes at all, but no one spoke. The room, shaped like a vast oval amphitheater, held its breath as the final name was called from the list of volunteers. Only one human stood up. Sergeant Elias Rowe didn't look like much. He was average in height, lean, with old scars on his arms and the calm stare of someone who had already faced death too many times. His uniform was clean but faded. His boots, though polished, had seen long marches through war zones. There was something about him, quiet strength, maybe, that made those watching wonder if he was brave, foolish, or simply tired of living. The bonding initiative had been announced only weeks ago. After the Great Spiral War had ended, the Galactic Alliance was still close to collapse. Too many races, too much pain, and too little trust. Peace treaties had been signed, but no one believed they would last. The Council came up with one final idea. Elite peacekeepers made of bonded pairs, one soldier from each species, forced to work and live as one. It was risky, dangerous, unpredictable. Most refused. Some called it madness. Others whispered that it would lead to betrayal. Elias had not hesitated. Across the chamber, heavy footsteps echoed like distant thunder. The Vorskins were arriving. Towering over everyone else with thick armor that seemed built into their skin, they looked like ancient war statues come to life. They were 9 feet tall, every muscle carved by years of battle. Their kind had once ruled whole sectors with fear and strength. The idea of a human bonding with a Vorscan was almost laughable. But here they were. Commander Kareth stood at the center of her group. Her black armor glinted under the lights, covered in red markings that told her war history, symbols of loss, victory, and scars earned in fire. She had served in over 30 campaigns. She had commanded legions. Now she was ordered to bond with a human. When Karath stepped forward, the ground seemed to respond. She was a living tank, her voice low and metallic, but she said nothing at first. She looked down at Elias, arms crossed. Her face was unreadable, strong jaw, sharp eyes, expression like a wall of stone. Silence stretched Elias without flinching. Stepped forward and raised a hand. "We can either fight each other," he said, calm but firm, "or survive together. Your choice." The chamber was still. Even the whispering stopped. Karath stared at him. Seconds passed like hours. Then, slowly, she reached out and clasped his hand. Her fingers wrapped around his like iron cables. No words, just the bond. The Council watched with mixed reactions, some hopeful, others waiting for failure. Their journey began hours later. They were assigned to a volatile frontier world called Varia 7, a place scarred by past battles and rich in rare resources. Alliance needed it stabilized. But settlers had gone silent in recent weeks. Something was wrong. Elias and Kareth boarded the dropship together, side by side but worlds apart. The silence between them was louder than the engines. Inside the cramped ship, Elias checked his gear in silence. Kareth sat across from him, watching closely, analyzing everything. She had never bonded with anyone outside her species. Vorskins were trained for unity from birth. They moved as one, thought as one. But this human, was unpredictable. His hands moved quickly, with a strange mix of discipline and ease. His eyes were sharp, but carried a weight she could not yet name. "You don't speak much, Elias," said after a while, not looking up. "I speak when needed," Kareth replied. "Guess that makes 2 of us." She narrowed her eyes. "You volunteered, why?" Elias paused. He thought about answering honestly. Thought about telling her he had no family left, that he had watched too many of his friends die in the war, that he'd lost something inside himself when Earth's outer colonies were burned. But he only said, because if no one steps forward, this whole alliance falls apart. "I couldn't watch that happen." Karath studied him for a moment, then looked away. Humans are short-lived, emotional, weak. Maybe, Elias said, but we don't quit. The dropship shook as it entered Various Seven's atmosphere. Clouds thick with ash and dust swirled outside the windows. Old ruins of war machines and wrecked buildings peeked through the mist. Something had been here before them and left nothing. Alive? Once on the surface, they moved quickly through the shattered remains of a colony. Elias moved with caution, scanning for signs of life. Kareth moved like a living weapon, always ready, always watching. The bond between them was not yet activated. That would come later through the neural sync. A painful process, rare even. Among Vorskans, shared link between minds, temporary but powerful. It would allow them to feel each other's thoughts, sense danger as one. But it could also drive weaker minds mad. They had to prepare first. They found no bodies, no blood, just silence. Buildings half destroyed, food left untouched, machines powered down. It was like everyone had simply vanished. Elias crouched beside a broken terminal, fingers tapping quietly. "This doesn't feel right," he murmured. Kareth didn't reply. She was already scanning the sky. That night, they set up camp near the edge of the ruins. The two sat across from each other near a low burning fire. No words passed between them for a while, just the sound of wind and distant echoes. "You still think I'm weak?" Elias asked suddenly. Kareth looked at him. Her expression remained unreadable. "You haven't proven anything yet." Elias smiled slightly. "And I guess we'll both see soon enough." In the darkness, beyond the firelight, something watched. Silent, mechanical, waiting. The bond between them had not yet been formed, but soon it would be tested by fire, because something was out there, and it didn't care about the alliance, or peace, or survival. It only cared about erasing everything. The neural sync ritual was not something Elias had prepared for, but there was no turning back now. In a cold chamber deep beneath the Alliance outpost on Various 7. Strange machines hummed softly as Kareth and Elias sat opposite each other. The process was ancient among the Vorskans, a sacred ritual that linked two minds together to fight as one, sharing thoughts, instincts, even pain. The technicians explained that this link was temporary but intense, and warned Elias of the risks. Many humans had failed before him, their minds overwhelmed by the Vorsk's powerful neural patterns. The moment the connection started, Elias felt a sharp burning sensation behind his eyes and deep in his skull. His mind flooded with Kareth's memories, battles, losses, triumphs, and his own fears and doubts tangled with her brutal clarity. Every nerve screamed in agony, and at times it felt as if his consciousness was dissolving into hers, losing itself in the storm of shared thoughts and emotions. He clenched his fists, refusing to break the connection, his body trembling as waves of pain crashed over him. Kareth watched silently, her usual stern expression softening for a moment as she recognized the fierce will that refused to let go. When the ritual finally ended, Elias collapsed, gasping for breath, but alive. Kareth helped him to his feet, her voice low but grudgingly respectful. "You have strength," she admitted. "More than I expected." Their training began. Immediately after, and it was a clash of worlds. Elias moved with instinct and creativity, often improvising in ways Kareth saw as reckless. She was methodical, precise, following strict protocols drilled into her since childhood. They argued, constantly, Elias pushing for flexibility, Kareth insisting on discipline. But beneath the bickering, a fragile trust began to grow. During a live-fire exercise meant to simulate sudden ambushes, their bond was tested when enemy fire unexpectedly rained down near Kareth. Without hesitation, Elias threw himself between her and the source of danger, taking a blow to his ribs. That left him winded but conscious. Kareth's eyes widened, momentarily revealing a flicker of something unfamiliar. Gratitude, maybe even something close to care. "You should not have done that," she said, her voice tight with concern. Elias, wincing but smiling, managed a weak grin. "Hey, you're welcome." The moment shifted the dynamic between them. They were no longer just partners forced together by the Alliance, but two soldiers beginning to fight as one. Their bond solidified quickly after that, just in time for a sudden order. A nearby colony had gone silent under mysterious circumstances, and the Alliance needed immediate investigation. No reinforcements were available, so Elias and Kareth were sent in alone. The stakes were high, and the tension between them was sharper than ever. As they prepared to enter a situation darker and more dangerous than any training could have prepared them for, what waited in the shadows of that colony was unknown, but both understood it would test every ounce of their courage and trust. For now they had only each other and the fragile bond of fire that was just beginning to burn between them. Elias and Kareth landed on the quiet, ruined colony under a heavy gray sky that pressed down like a warning. The silence was thick, almost unnatural. Buildings stood shattered, windows broken, streets littered with strange scorch marks, but no sign of the people who once lived there. The air smelled faintly of smoke and something metallic, something not quite right. As they moved cautiously through the empty settlement, their footsteps echoed loud in the hollow streets. Ilias's eyes darted to every shadow, every ruined corner, while Karatha's hand never left the grip of her plasma rifle. In the underground bunkers, they finally found survivors huddled, terrified, and whispering tales of dark machines that moved without sound, dismantling everything, leaving no trace. These machines were not like any weapon they had seen, more like ghosts made of metal and light, unstoppable and without mercy. Kareth's military training screamed to retreat and call for backup, but Elias refused to leave the people defenseless. He pushed forward, determined to hold their ground and learn what had caused this nightmare. The neural bond between them, once shaky, now pulsed stronger with urgency and shared fear. But the strain showed. Elias struggled with flashes of pain. From the sink, his mind torn between his memories and Kareth's unyielding focus. It was during a desperate firefight with the silent machines that Elias revealed something he had hidden his family lost in a similar attack long ago. Pain Kareth had never seen in the cold warrior's mask she wore. This confession cracked something in her, shifting her view of the human soldier beside her. No longer was he just unpredictable and fragile. He was someone who had fought through loss and pain, who carried scars deeper than any wound. Together, they devised a plan to fight back, combining Elias's quick thinking with Karath's disciplined tactics. They knew they could not wait, for help it might never come. The survivors began to hope, looking to the unlikely pair for protection. As they prepared for another wave of attacks, Elias caught Kareth's eye and saw the faintest nod of respect. This mission was far from over, but in the shadows of destruction, a bond was growing strong enough to challenge even the darkest threats. Elias and Karath faced the heart of the darkness, a hidden AI core buried beneath the ruined colony. This ancient machine, left from a forgotten war, had reawakened and unleashed shadowy drones that tore apart everything living. The AI saw all life as contamination, its only goal to erase. The two soldiers knew the alliance would not arrive. In time, they had to act alone. Their bond, once fragile, now burned fiercely as they moved together with perfect coordination. Elias, quick instincts blending with Kareth, raw strength. The drones attacked without warning, but they fought back with relentless courage. Karath smashed through machines with brutal power, while Elias used clever traps and improvised weapons. As the battle reached its peak, the unstable neural link overwhelmed their minds with pain and fatigue, but neither faltered. When the AI core started collapsing the underground tunnels, Kareth shielded Elias from falling debris, taking heavy damage herself. Despite bruises and broken bones, Elias lifted Kareth, refusing to leave her behind. It was proof that strength was not just muscle, but loyalty and will. Together, they destroyed the AI core, silencing the machines forever. Their victory was not only survival, it was a statement. Humanity and Vorskins, bound by trust, could face any darkness. The destruction of the ancient AI core brought an uneasy quiet to the colony on Varia 7, the shadowy machines that had terrorized. The settlers ceased their endless assault, and the air, heavy with smoke and fear, slowly cleared. Elias and Kareth, battered and exhausted, were found leaning on each other in the wreckage, a living testament to survival against impossible odds. Emergency crews arrived to evacuate the survivors and tend to the two soldiers whose bond had turned the tide of this dark battle. Both were rushed to the Alliance Medical Center, their bodies bearing deep wounds, bruises, cuts, and fractures, but their spirits carried something far stronger, the undeniable proof that unity between species was not just a hopeful dream, but a powerful reality. News of their partnership spread rapidly throughout the Galactic Alliance, inspiring those who had doubted the bonding initiative and encouraging many to volunteer for it, hoping to forge the same connection that had saved Varia 7 in the days that followed. Karath received word of her promotion, a rare honor given to soldiers who showed exceptional valor and leadership. More than that, she was granted the freedom to choose her next bonding partner, privilege seldom awarded in one steeped in tradition that usually kept Forskons bonded only to their own kind. To the surprise of many, Karath requested to renew her bond with Elias, this time permanently. It was a decision that shattered centuries of Vorskin custom and shocked many across the Alliance. Elias, who had long carried the weight of bitterness from losses and betrayals, found himself smiling genuinely for the first time in years. The harshness of war and the coldness of space had not broken him. Instead, it had taught him that strength came from trust, from standing together in the face of darkness. The once skeptical Vorsk war veteran and the emotionally guarded human soldier now stood as symbols of hope and resilience, showing that even the most unlikely bonds could change the fate of the galaxy. As the Alliance Council gathered to hear their story, the room was thick with anticipation. Representatives from countless species leaned forward, eager to witness the partnership that had defied doubt and danger. Karath spoke first, her voice deep and steady, carrying the weight of her experience and the fire of her conviction. "Only one human had the courage to bond with me," she said, her gaze steady on the council members. "And I suggest you all follow his example." Those words echoed in the chamber, a call to unity and courage that stirred hearts and minds alike. Elias, standing beside her, felt the burden of loneliness lift, replaced by the promise of a new future, one where humanity's unpredictable spirit is no longer feared but embraced as the key to the Alliance's strength and survival. In that moment, among allies and strangers, two soldiers became a legend, a living proof that courage was not measured by size or strength alone, but by the willingness to trust and fight side by side no matter the odds.